Okay, welcome to the November 3rd meeting, San Mateo County Harbor District. Special meeting here. Do we have any public comment as we begin?
Hold on, it's actually the meeting of the Human Relations Committee of the Harbor District.
Yes.
Starting at 10:04.
You guys have to decide on the chair.
You have to decide who wants to be chair, Tom. I don't mind chairing the meeting today, but yeah, since
I'm having trouble hearing you, Virginia.
I don't mind chairing the meeting since I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so today we have our, I don't have an agenda, by the way. So.
Virginia, we cannot hear you.
I'm asking the general manager to give us an update on what's happening. Discussions with our bargaining unit.
Okay, yeah, I can do that, Commissioner. I just want to confirm with the board secretary that everybody's been allowed into the room.
Yes, the public is allowed in there's 11 people attending.
Okay, and we have also the conference room or the boardroom is also open for members of the public to participate in this meeting. And before we get started with anything further on this meeting, I think we should ask the public for any public comment. So Melanie, is there anybody with their hand raised?
Yes, we have 2 people with their hand raised. Hold on, please.
We'll open up public comment then right now.
The first person to talk is Sabrina Brennan.
Hello, I'm here today to comment because this is the Human Relations Committee, which frankly, I wasn't even aware the district had a Human Relations Committee, so surprised to see it. But since you have one, I was really disappointed to see that Commissioner Mateusz is serving on that committee in light of the fact that he sexually harassed me and sent me pornographic images via email and admitted to sending them to an investigator. I wanted to let everyone know that there is a new state law that is Senate Bill 53 that was signed by Governor Newsom. And that law allows victims of unwanted pornography, recipients of unwanted pornography, to receive up to $30,000 as well as punitive damages, reasonable attorney's fees, and costs for other available relief, including injunctive relief, starting in 2023. So that means that if Tom continues to send pornography via email to people, he is putting the district at risk, and he's putting himself at risk of up to $30,000 plus attorney's fees. I think this is important for everyone at the district to understand. And I certainly hope that Tom does not continue to send pornographic emails to women or anyone else, particularly children. Thank you.
Next speaker, Melanie.
Next person is Michael Baker.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Very good. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this today. I just found out about it. Unfortunately, I wish I knew a little bit earlier. Not your fault, but my fault. I could have had a little bit more to share. But I just wanted to share and express a few things. My wife, Marlis, and I have lived at the harbor now for, I think, about 5 years. And everybody's been extremely gracious. We've really enjoyed our time there at the harbor. And between Chris and Dante and all the other harbor masters, it was very approachable, very professional, and very helpful, not only to us, but to others throughout that time. And I just wanted to express what I know about the agenda. And I don't have all the facts, obviously, but the thought that somehow rescue efforts could be impacted or somehow altered from what they have been to something less is a bit concerning to my wife and I. Having been there for 4 or 5 years, we've seen their activities and their actions and how it's been helpful and from all intents and purposes, saved people's lives. So the thought that being impacted is a bit concerning. Additionally, as the harbor continues to get busier and busier, not only with the influx of fishermen during the seasons, but also now that the COVID restrictions are getting less and less, we're just getting busier and busier there at the harbor. And the thought of possibly either losing harbor masters or reduction of time, again, is concerning because we've just grown accustomed there to have, it's a safe place. We feel very comfortable. And I just wanted to share that, if that's going to be impacted, that, that's unfortunate and it is a bit concerning. And I guess I just want to close with, it's my understanding that there are other harbor districts on the California coast that have similar situations, and they've been able to kind of work themselves through this and find the funding. So I'm hopeful, and I hope that, we can find a way to keep staffing the way it is and not be impacted. Again, thank you for the opportunity to share that.
I see some hands raised as well. John Olin.
Thank you for the opportunity. There's only one reason that this is all coming to a head today, and that is because of some really bad financial decisions made by Virginia Corrali and Tom Matoush back in 2018, I believe it was, where they've obligated the Harbor District to pay for infrastructure that doesn't belong to them. And the city of South San Francisco has far more funds to deal with their marina. Meanwhile, Pillar Point is deteriorating at an alarming rate, and now you're cutting down safety operations. And this is happening, folks. You need to understand this. This is happening in an environment where the Harbor District has had 12 years at least of record increases in property tax revenue, which is by far the most revenue, the biggest percentage of revenue the district spends. Yet things are not getting repaired and services are being cut back. This is because of horrible management, and it needs to be addressed. And it's too bad that it's come to this. Thank you.
Tim West, Melanie, do we have the clock going or not? I don't see it on the screen.
Yes, I have the clock going.
Tim?
Tim West is next.
Thank you.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I agree with everybody who's spoken, obviously, except for the first person. That was ridiculous. Regarding the safety thing, as you know, I'm just a guy who's lived here all my life. I love this place. I have a passion for everything regarding that harbor and the community that surrounds it. And to put this on the chopping block, I literally have not heard one person get on this conversation saying, this is a great idea. I fully support you chopping the rescue efforts of saving people's lives at one of the most dangerous waters in the world. It just makes no sense besides the financial situation. I just really disagree with what's happening. And I've talked to harbor people that work in the harbor. I've talked to friends, family, neighbors. Everybody's just scratching their heads going, what the heck is going on? You guys are making a horrible decision doing this. And people are gonna die. And it's a fact. And you're just kind of sweeping it under the rug and doing these meetings every now and then, which is great. And I support the harbor district. I love what you guys do. It's more than just a rescue thing and whatever. You guys do a lot of stuff for our community. But when it comes to this situation, it's just a bad decision and it needs to be resolved without just, here's what we're going to do and we're going to do it. Let's listen to a few people talk on this for 2 minutes and then, they'll disappear. It's just merely upsets me. So I'll be out there on my jet ski doing rescue. I'll have my radio on. I'll be breaking the law because jet skis aren't allowed out there and I really don't care. But if I need to be called upon to do rescue, I will. I'll be here for the rest of my life. And thank you for your time. I disagree with this decision.
Thank you. Melanie, hands raised. I don't see any now, but I will ask for last public comments if there are any. If you'd like to make a public comment, now is the time. Online, and I know that we have someone here in our meeting room. So I don't see any hands raised online. But before we go into the person public comments, I do want to thank the staff for making this hybrid meeting work and thank the public for their patience right now and allowing this type of meeting to happen. It's our first one, so thank you to all the people who made this meeting work. So if there are little glitches here and there, please know that it's our first meeting like this, and we appreciate your patience. But we're also glad that everyone's here who can make it. So I'm going to close public comment online for now, and we have public comment in person here, right? So you have 2 minutes. Do I have an opportunity to do this after the meeting? Well, so this public comment is speak to one of the agenda items. You can do that later. Okay. And we can close, yeah, because it's. So Melanie, any other online comments? Then I'm going to close public comment and we'll go straight to the agenda, which now we're on item 2. So there are 3 items for item 2. Overtime Pillar Point Harbor is number 1. Search and rescue program on the coast is number 2. And change of hours / Oyster Point Marina is number 3. So I will ask the general manager, Jim, do you have any preference of the order, or if I know that bargaining units here, if they have a preference to the order? Wait, let me just interrupt you for 1 second. It was not my question, but we do have an HR, a human relations. That's why we have this meeting today. So if you would like.
Yeah, Porteous, would you ask me to describe why the meeting is, or what? Last year, the union asked the meeting. Made the mistake that I didn't think we had.
Jim, you're cutting out quite a bit.
Corrected me on that, and I had to, we've been coordinating and trying to get this meeting together for quite. We're able to do that. Basic reasons we're here is the union asked to meet with the Human Relations Council. And It listed several topics that we're currently working on, but they
of the three sections?
Yeah, that's fine with us.
Okay, great. So why don't we start with bullet number 1, which is the overtime at Pillar Point Harbor. And the item, so that everyone knows, is to just harbor from a 10-hour per day shift length to a 12-hour shift length, and the resulting reduction.
Commissioner Carly, we're only getting about half of what everyone is saying. If we could maybe move the microphones closer.
have to speak up as opposed to down to get that mic. So, the district and the union have been working over the last several months to go 10-hour shift length to a 12-hour shift length, which changes the work schedule to, of course, 12 hours. They'll work 12 hours, 3 12-hour days 1 week, and then the following week in the pay period, they'll work 3 12-hour shifts plus an 8-hour shift. We recently came to an agreement. On the November general meeting for approval by the general manager.
We only heard about half of it.
All right, is this better?
Keep talking. No, keep talking.
Can't talk anymore.
Okay, I could hear you then.
Now?
Yes.
Okay, so to go back, on the topic of overtime at Pillar Point Harbor, the union and the general manager myself have been working on a 12-hour schedule versus a 10-hour schedule shift length. And we just recently came to an agreement on the switching from a 10-hour shift length to a 12-hour shift length at Pillar Point Harbor. And that will be presented to the board at the November general meeting for review and hopefully approval.
We heard you loud and clear, Jim.
Next, I will recommend opening up the floor.
Yeah, I was going to recommend before I knew that you had a comment. I don't know if you want to comment on this or if you want to make. Okay, so we do have a public comment on. And I think given the importance of this, then we'll
Commissioner Shane Crowley, I can't actually hear you.
Hello.
Okay.
It's Melanie, if you can please turn on the clock. Thank you.
Folks, I know you're trying. Folks, I know you're trying, and I appreciate that you're holding this meeting in the manner that you're holding it, but this is unattendable. I've heard maybe 1/3 of what the general manager has said. I've heard maybe 1/3 of the back. I have no idea whether you're hearing any of this. I really don't think any information is being imparted. I mean, you need to do something. Restart the meeting, bump up the bandwidth. I don't know what, but thanks.
Thank you. And For 2 minutes.
I hope you can hear me because I could hardly hear anything that was said. I missed, I would say 90% of the staff report was not audible. You've got people that took time out of their workday to attend this meeting. This is Sabrina Brennan speaking, by the way. And you're wasting our time with the meeting that is technically challenged. So please fix your audio so that we can hear the staff report and restart this agenda item because no one heard what the district manager said. We also did not hear, I couldn't even hear you call my name. I had to wait to see Melanie put up the unmute image on my screen. So this is technically unacceptable. When you hold a public meeting, you need to make sure that your audio is working. So please fix the audio and restart this agenda item so that all the people who took time out of their day to attend this meeting to hear what's being said can actually hear it. Thank you.
Any comments from the room? Yes.
I have a comment. Someone had mentioned
Can you
previously.
go up to the microphone?
Yeah, thank you.
Stand here. As someone had mentioned previously with the district at risk and that it's a special district here, I am here interested in an investigation on interagency abuse. And as Transparency California shows, there was excessive overtime in 2019. And I'm wondering if this has to relate to pension spiking. I know that there are other issues brought forth by, I believe, Cal Matters. And anyhow, I know that there are some elements that I could privy ourselves to, such as DHS FOIA. Transparent California is public, and what I would like to know as a journalist is what resources are available to me to help uncover receipts, as it were, related to possible DHS mission creep. If you're familiar with the term, for example, 2020 CBP DHS had a lot of human rights violations and grievances nationwide. And I'm wondering how this relates to Space Force, DHS in this special district, and how someone could help me offline from here, as I don't want to be phoning it in, but to do so in person to gather receipts on what Transparency California shows and the excessive overtime in recent years, specifically 2019. Thanks.
Yes, this moving the shift 12 hours a day at Pillar Point Harbor as requested by the manager. At this point, we'll be going to the board for full approval on
Jim, I'm sorry, we can't hear you. The mic that the person from the public was using, we could actually hear her completely clear.
Is this clear enough?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so the first agenda item was a request by the union last year, and we've been working on it. And we just recently came to an agreement between the general manager and the union to shift the shift length from 10 hours, which it is currently per day, to 12 hours as a regular shift length. And that would result in a work week, one week being 3 12-hour shifts, and the other work week being 3 12-hour shifts plus an 8-hour shift. And again, we just recently came to that agreement, and it will be forwarded to the board for full approval after review on the regular November board meeting.
raised. No.
We could hear you loud and clear on that mic, actually, so you might want to use that one for everything.
Okay, I'm using it.
To listen and to.
And to repeat that, Commissioner Crawley stated that the committee today will make no decisions, but the items will go to the full board for consideration. This is just initial discussions.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next bullet point.
We'll comment on that. Wait, we have to comment on the first one.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay. I see your hand raised.
No, it's no, I actually didn't raise it, so thank you for acknowledging this. So just to echo a little bit what Jim just talked about, we did come to an agreement and we hope that that situation is ratified at the November board meeting. What we also want to add to that, it is our position that this shift change in this new work schedule, this should hopefully enhance search and rescue because we do not want it to interfere or reduce the services as it pertains to search and rescue. Just like some of the other speakers spoke about earlier, we want to maintain that and search and rescue, and we want to actually make search and rescue better. And we got some documentation that we will go over in a few minutes as it pertains specifically to search and rescue. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
Okay, so I'm Kate Roster. I'm the shop steward at Pillar Point Harbor, and this is all, we brought this forward and we've been pushing for this and working with the district quite a bit, just because we're trying to curb overtime. So this is a solution to excessive overtime that we are working with the district to to solve that. And we'll talk about that more, I'm sure, but we just want to make sure that the public knows that this is not something the district is enforcing. This is an agreement, and that everybody in the Pillar Point shop is fully for this.
Thank you. So I'll move to next bullet point, which is the search and rescue program on the coast.
So I'm going to move to the next bullet point, which is the search and rescue program on the coast. The item is discuss contacting and working with the county of San Mateo, the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, and the city of Half Moon Bay to seek and identify additional funding to support the San Mateo County Harbor District's maritime search and rescue program on the San Mateo County coastline. So Jim, if you would like to give a report on that, that would be great. And I'll take public comment afterwards.
The subject of search and rescue from Pillar Point by the watermen and deputy harbor masters at Pillar Point are definitely a top priority for the district. But going through our recent budget, going through and funding and overtime, the district simply can't afford to staff search and rescue 24 hours, 7 days a week and do it safely with the current staffing levels and the current staffing model. Same thing with our vessels. We have 2 vessels and they are multi-purpose vessels, but they're not necessarily designed with search and rescue in mind as the first design element. And the district needs a new search and rescue vessel that is designed for search and rescue, recovering stranded people in the water, and also getting to areas quickly. That's the goal of the district, is to do a 24/7 search and rescue model and have that search and rescue boat. But currently the district does not have the funding to do that model. So now the district still does search and rescue when we're properly staffed during that shift, properly trained during that shift, and it's been evaluated. It's safe for us to head outside the breakwater to conduct that search and rescue.
And part of that is the vessel. The search and rescue vessel will make it even safer for us and those who we rescue when the seas are even higher. So that's what we're doing. We're working towards fully funding search and rescue, working towards trying to get that boat. But until that time, we will be challenged to provide that 24/7, 7 days a week, full search and rescue capability. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the commissioner.
Thank you, Jim. So I want to open it up for commissioner discussion. Commissioner Matoush, do you have any input that you'd like to give on this?
I'm very glad to hear that we're not talking about a reduction in safety. That's been a concern of speakers in the public today. I believe that our union and our harbor masters are saying that they're looking forward to this new schedule. And I'm hoping that it all works out to everyone's satisfaction.
Thank you. So I I agree with Tom, but also I want to point out that this is not the first time we've had this discussion on this issue. The first time that I have seen a report on was at the October 2021 meeting where the general manager outlined the different levels of SAR capabilities or what needs to be done in terms of training and all of that. So if anyone is interested, please refer back to that report as well, just to get a foundational understanding of where we started from. So I just wanted to put that out there. But I agree with Commissioner Matoush that search and rescue has been very important to me. But as a fire board member of a fire district, I also know that it needs to be done in a thoughtful and considered way because we don't want to risk lives of our emergency responders as well. And we want to make everything safe. And that it's going to also look at training, which is absolutely a necessity. So do you have any other comments, Jim? Tom, do you have any commissioner comments or input that you want to give?
No, I'm just glad that we've been able to work with the union and personnel and come up with a plan that it sounds like they're in favor of.
Yes, thank you for working with us. So I'll open it up. Any comments from the floor?
Oh, yeah, we'll wait to the
Okay.
internet.
And I'll take public comment right now on this particular bullet from our online participants. Sabrina Brennan, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm glad you got the audio sorted out. I support 24/7 search and rescue at Pillar Point Harbor, primarily because there is no other rescue service available. And that is the function of the Harbor District. It is one of the foundational reasons for the Harbor District to exist. Coast Guard cannot access the Pillar Point Harbor area quickly enough to provide adequate rescue, which is why the Harbor District needs to serve that purpose. Secondly, I believe Virginia Chang Corrali has a conflict of interest. She serves on the Menlo Park Fire Protection District, which provides search and rescue service in San Francisco Bay. She should recuse herself. In fact, she shouldn't even be on this committee. And as I've already stated, because Tom Matoush sends people, including harbor commissioners, pornography, he certainly shouldn't be on this committee as either. Lastly, there is a funding solution. There is money available. All the district needs to do is terminate its management agreement for Oyster Point Marina, which is a city-owned marina, and focus its financial efforts on Pillar Point Harbor, which is the district's primary responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. So any other hands raised, Melanie? I can't see. Okay, I'm gonna
No
close.
hands raised.
Great. I'm going to close public comment from our online participants here and take comments from the floor.
Sorry about that. I did not introduce myself last time. I'm Michael Moore, Operating Engineers Local Number 3 Business Representative. I represent the officers here at Pillar Point. So one of the questions we have is, how certain is the district that there is no legal obligation to provide search and rescue? And we're asking that question because we want to get some definitive information as to the district's position on search and rescue. The way that the current situation is going, it would be a reduction in hours or operational hours that search and rescue is being performed. If that happens, that means, and I'm throwing this out there hypothetically, you only be able to provide search and rescue for a couple hours a day because of the staffing issue. We, our staff, have been able to perform these duties for the last couple of years, several years, multiple years actually, very effectively. Multiple lives have been saved, recovery has been done. We are an integral part of the society and of this public safety sector as it pertains to this geographical region. And we do not want that impacted. We want to be able to keep doing what we're doing at the level which we're doing it. And to Jim's point, yeah, we want you to get that new vessel so that we can be able to provide even better search and rescue. We want to be the go-to agency. These men and women of this department, training, we have a training officer, top-notch, stellar people who only want to provide the best, and they want to keep providing the best at all times, providing the best. And that is search and rescue, because a lot of people depend on what our people do. I got to confirm with them. Thank you.
Everybody, Jacob Walding, Oyster Point Marina. Also, I work over there as the shop steward. One of the things that I wanted to bring up was overtime has been talked about, and as far as reducing overtime, which ultimately has a trickle down effect, which reduces potential services to the public. When we look at the figures that have been brought forward for overtime, it's approximately $300,000 a year. With that $300,000 a year, if we broke the actual search and rescue cases out of that, I think we would find a small percentage. I think a lot of that $300,000, that overtime budget, is actually for facilities maintenance, facility first mindset, right? Keeping the lights on, keeping the place running, keeping it safe, keeping the facility safe, land side. We have a tremendous infrastructure that we are also tasked with caring for. It's an ailing infrastructure. It's had some deferred maintenance over the years. We all know this, but when you look at employee safety as a primary concern, that $300,000 is a small price to pay. If I'm out doing, my daily duties and I get caught in a piece of machinery, if I'm, who's going to come and help me personally? And so that reduction in going to a more single coverage type coverage opens us up to the potential to be injured and not have that backup. So I just wanted to put it out there that entire 300,000, that might be a number that's associated with search and rescue, but depending on how it's broken out, we just need to look deeper into those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
I'll just make a comment.
Yeah,
really quick,
please.
okay? Sorry, this is Kate Rossiter again. I'm just gonna follow up Jacob's comment, and he said it perfectly. The overtime, historically, I'm just gonna talk about this summer. I've been with the district for a year, and we've always incurred overtime just to keep a minimum staffing level of 2 deputies. And this is not just for officer safety, this is for public safety. Public safety is a priority for the district and for the Harbor Patrol and for the harbor workers, okay? So we consider a minimum staffing level to be 2. This is why overtime has been incurred historically. And that's about it. I just want to make a comment on that.
I'll add. All right, this is a form I'm not used to. So Jacob Walding, again, shop steward, Oyster Point. It is worth noting that we don't right now budget for overtime as an agency. However, we do budget and fund salaries. So we have X amount of deputies that are on duty at Pillar Point or on the books to be on. But we do also see shortcomings in being able to maintain staff. We have staff leave, staff transfer positions remain open. And while those positions remain open, they're many times covered with overtime. So when we look at the fiscal year of 21-22, we had, I don't know the exact number of staff that were vacant out of different positions, but I know that there was a savings to the district of about $530,000 in salaries that were not paid out for people that did not hold positions for whatever reason. And we did incur in that time the $300,000 in overtime, which ultimately ends up being a benefit to the district.
Thank you. Even though I've closed online public comments from participants, I will let John Olam speak for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to close public comment. This will be my last public comment. So Melanie, if you can put the timer on for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Corrali. I just wanted to, again, stress that the situation that is being experienced is self-inflicted, that just some hard choices need to be made. You no longer can afford to subsidize Oyster Point Marina. That's the simple truth. As has been pointing out, you've had decades of deferred maintenance. Your infrastructure is at end of life in so many aspects. Things are getting busier and busier out there. It's getting harder and harder to make money for the fishermen, so they have to do things faster and in bigger, faster amounts. And the Harbor District is simply not keeping up. And this is just a symptom of what's going on. You know, it's great that all you guys are here to tell the districts how important this particular aspect of your operation is. And it is important. It's one of the defining roles of the Harbor District. But this district has been financing those rescue operations for 40 years. And now we're told out of the blue that an overtime problem of $300,000 a year is causing you to end this rescue operation that is so vital to the reason the harbor exists. And asking other agencies for help is great. But and again, I suggest you ask the fire district, as they have the most money in the biggest connection to safety. And again, you failed to mention that. But all districts are challenged. The city of Half Moon Bay is challenged. The county is challenged. It's time for you to spend the money that you have wisely. And that starts with making some hard decisions and being honest with people as to why you're in the situation that you find yourself in. Thank you.
So I'm now closing public comment for this bullet. Jim, so this was an item that was on last month's agenda. And I don't know how far you've, what kind of progress you've made. I mean, we don't have to put it on the November agenda for this month unless you're ready to do so. We can also go onto the December agenda. So I don't know how much time you might need. But I mean, the issue is not going away. I mean, so just let me make that very clear. It's just that I just want to make sure that we have adequate time for the general manager to do his job, since this was on the October agenda of last month, not last year, but if you need more time, that's okay. That's what I'm saying.
I want to go back to the questions, as this is a committee meeting, not a board meeting, so we can interact back and forth. And Mr. Moore, you asked, is there a legal requirement for the Harbor District to do search and rescue? And the answer is no. Is there a need? The answer is yes. And we fully support the fact that we are the only ones out here to conduct search and rescue. the district recognizes that, but we want to do it safely and properly. Our staff at Pillar Point are the best watermen on the coast. I have no doubt. And they've proven that time and time again on the rescues and the assists that they've gone out on. However, we do it at a significant risk to our people when we don't have backup. So who rescues the rescuers? That's always a question. I agree that other agencies don't have the assets to do at-sea rescue. The Coast Guard is from San Francisco. They are 2 hours away, and their helos are a lot of times are grounded because of fog and can't get over here. And that leaves us. I want this capability. I'm going to fight for the capability, but until we can do it safely and not do it the way we're doing it now, placing our staff at risk and the people we rescue at risk, then we will we'll continue down this same path. But our goal again is to properly staff, train, and equip the staff to be available 24/7 for search and rescue. Now, again, there's no legal requirement. Over the decades, the Harbor District has slowly taken on the responsibility of search and rescue. The original purpose of the harbor was only to be a harbor of safe refuge for the fishing fleet. It has grown into a large or medium-sized commercial area and a huge tourist draw. And a lot of those tourists take their boats out on the water, and they need that resource. Agree with that 100%. It's just the funding we don't have. And going to the overtime, I agree with Jacob when he says that overtime can't all be attributed to search and rescue. But the overtime has been attributed to of trying to maintain a staff of officers 24 hours a day that can respond or can respond on or off water with 2 people. And that's where we're running into problems, is we simply can't afford that overtime to cover those shifts. And any money saved that we get goes directly into our capital improvement projects, which we are significantly under budgeted by probably $75 million. So, and that's a guess. I'll give you the exact number if you want it. So the district is, through the general manager, is going through several different aspects of the district and trying to save money, and then also implementing things where we can make money. And if the budget can come out and we can hire another deputy harbor master, we need 6 at a minimum, then we can move forward with that 24/7, and that's what we're doing. But right now, the district's not in a position to fund a discretionary activity that we're not required by law to do, and it's outside our jurisdiction. The ordinance in the California ordinances and Harbor Nav Code tells us that we may respond to a grounded vessel at the request of the sheriff's department. Actually, it says we will respond if the sheriff asks us to respond to a grounded vessel. We're doing much more than that. We're doing search and rescue, we're doing medevacs, and we routinely take out the fire department. We routinely take out other people to go out and be part of that rescue and bring them back safely. Agreed 100%. I need the budget and I need the resources to do it properly. And until then, we're going to continue down this path. Now, item 1 was moving to a 12-hour shift. That will help us provide us more opportunities to be capable to cover search and rescue, to cover emergencies in the harbor with more than just 1 deputy harbor master. And personally, I thank this union for coming up and asking for that. Looking forward to that coverage. But it's not going to be the answer yet. Even with the 12-hour shifts, we need additional personnel. And that's what I need to find, is the funding for the additional personnel. Not one-time funding or a grant that's 1 year. I need funding that is annual funding that repeats and carries on. We want that capability. Does the Coast Guard need that capability? District 100% agrees it needs the capability. But
not at the expense of the stuff we're required to do. And that's where we're at right now. So cutting back on some discretionary issues is what we have to do until the district can find some more income or find another revenue service from outside of the district. Did that answer all your questions?
Indeed.
Jacob, that address your questions also? Hey,
Yep.
okay. So that's the search and rescue, and that goes back to the 12-hour shifts. So all I had to add to that.
Okay. Tom, do you have any more comments or input that you'd like to give?
No, that was a very good explanation of the management issues and funding for the Harbor District.
Thank you, Jim. So thanks for your patience and working with us on this. Like I said, we want to make it safe for everyone as well. So keep working with us on this. You want?
Yeah, can I have one more
Jacob,
thing?
yeah. I mean,
So
this is
just-
now.
Just having the
Interaction
open,
with
the open
staff.
conversation, when we look at, it keeps getting tied to search and rescue. And our facilities are laid out in such that we have large properties that we're responsible for. So having single coverage at those facilities is a challenge, and there's employee safety concerns that are constantly brought up. And I'm not gonna what if it all day long, but having minimum staffing of 2 patrol is a huge benefit for everybody that works in the environment of the Harbor District on any time, depending on if you're coming on duty or going off duty or opening a facility or closing a facility. It should not be left to one deputy just because it's not fair to kind of, fair is not a good word. You just have to keep that in focus. And I think I've driven that home.
Jim, do you want to make any comments on that?
It's not anything new that OE3 is going to hear on this topic. My approach to this has always been it is our goal to provide at least two deputy harbor masters or a harbor master and a deputy harbor master at the facility. That is our goal, and we want to achieve that goal, but we simply don't have funding to drive that overtime to achieve that goal. Plus, the overtime not only is a high, it also has some of our deputy harbor masters were standing excessive amounts of harbor or overtime that could not continue over the long run. It was more of a short-term fix, but standing watches of 17 hours, we can't have that because of officer safety and decision-making capabilities at the end of those shifts. And then also standing multiple days in a row and having no time off is also another concern that we have with burning out staff. So that's how that's working. And that's been my approach. Is our goal is to have 2, but we don't always achieve our goal. We need more funding to do that, and we need more staffing to do that. And that's what we're working towards.
Please, thank you.
This is
Thanks,
not a
Jim.
rebuttal or anything like that, but we do have to keep in mind for the past 2.5 years, we've been in a pandemic. And so there are mandated periods of leave when you are test positive for COVID-19, in which case people have to work or have volunteered to work excessively long shifts just to keep 2-man coverage when we have 1 to 3. I think we've had 3 people out at a time with COVID. So I just want to make that comment. We had a very unusual past couple of years, and moving forward, this is very unlikely that would be a draw for overtime unless we have repeated pandemics.
Thank you. Yep, Tom, any last comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you all. Oh, yeah,
I've got a
please.
comment. I'm Owen Moore. I work at Pillar Point. I kind of share shop steward duties with Kate. I think we need to bring up the fact that I think both commissioners here work on the finance committee, they have budget oversight. It was seen that the positions that were allocated for both facilities at that time, there's a number, I want to say, is it 12 and 8? 12 and 7. So 12 at Pillar Point, 7 at Oyster Point. If those funds were available at the time of budgeting, I understand there's a need for capital improvement projects. But if we had vacancies, where did that money go? And why can that not be used to offset overtime? Because up until recently, there's been no directive that says we're not going to have 2 people on duty. So if we're going in that direction, it's deliberate, and that money is being taken somewhere else, and it's coming at the cost of the public and our staff. So I think it's worth consideration.
Jim, do you want to add to that?
Jim Pruitt, there is openings at both Oyster Point and Pillar Point. There's salaries that are associated with that. Same thing up at the administrative level. We have openings and there's salaries associated with that. However, from my perspective, when we can save money, we need to save that money for maintenance, for capital improvement projects, and move forward with the staffing that we have and not have excessive overtime, again, burning out staff. And a lot of staff want to work those long hours. And the district, again, is when we call staff in to work that overtime, it's not at the normal rate, it's a time and a half. And that and it adds, again, a domino effect. So yes, there is money left in the salary accounts for Pillar Point, Oyster Point, and the district, but those funds are being saved so that we can improve our facilities.
I just have one more comment. I think credit is due to our harbor masters and assistant harbor masters. If you look at the breakdown, their ability to cover PTO, which is put on the books as a liability, when you look at the amount of PTO they're able to cover with overtime, they put together some great ratios. So I think they deserve some credit.
Okay, I'm going to close out this bullet point. Unless, Tom, you have anything to add?
No, I'm fine.
Jim, so do you need more time before you take this item to the full board? Because we can put this on the December agenda versus this is the search and rescue item. Bullet point number 2.
The search and rescue items, so the specific that we're discussing today has already been reviewed by the board, and my decisions have been confirmed by the board. So if the committee recommends a change to that, we can bring it up in the committee report.
Okay. So I don't think we're recommending a change. So do you want to put this on the November agenda then?
It will be in the committee.
Right, but on the yeah, okay, perfect. Then I'm going to move to the 3rd bullet, which is the change of hours at Oyster Point Marina. And this item is to discuss the impact on 12-hour operations at Oyster Point Marina, changing the regular hours of operation at Oyster Point Marina to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week. Jim.
Looking at Oyster Point Marina as a marina, not as a harbor, an operational harbor that's 24 hours a day. I looked at other marinas in San Francisco Bay Area and learned that many of the by far 17 hours of staffing for a marina is almost double or triple the normal. Some marinas only have their offices open and staffed for a couple hours a day. They don't have an open on the weekends. Some do, some don't, but they're very limited on the weekends. And Oyster Point coming in and staffing it for 17 hours a day, as opposed to the other marinas. I felt that we can cut it down. And again, it's another cost saving measure to 12 hours a day, which is still the most
7 days a week for 12 hours, which by far exceeds any other marina in the Bay Area that we looked at. So I made the decision to move it down to 12 hours a day. And we're making it effective January 1st to give people plenty of time to know about it and staff to rearrange their schedules to meet the 12 hours operational period, and as opposed to working to 10 at night. And we're working with the city, South San Francisco too, to deal with some of the security issues with the buildings, the restrooms that were just built in our current restroom. So the board, again, I presented my decision to the board last board meeting that we're going to go to a 12-hour schedule, and the board approved that or confirmed my decision to move it down to a 12-hour schedule versus a 17 and a half hour, if I remember right, 17-hour schedule at Oyster Point Marina. We're also securing the security contract for overnight at Oyster Point Marina, because Oyster Point Marina activities have completely changed with the new roads and the new buildings going in now. We have a lot more openness, and people can come in and walk the trail anytime they want, and they do. And cars come in anytime they want, because in the past we had 100% control over cars coming in because it was only one road in and one road out. Now that's changed through parking lots and through the road. They can come in and out and not necessarily be prevented by the security guard. So that's the purpose of that. And again, that's another cost saving measure of close to $100,000 a year.
Do you have any comments or thoughts?
No, I'm good. I'm just really glad to see the progress on Oyster Point, and hopefully at some point, each and every item will be closer to being finished. Sooner the better.
I'm going to open this item up to public comment for our online participants. John Olam, you have 2 minutes. Melanie, can you please start the clock?
Thank you, Ms. Haddon. Just want to make sure everybody understands that every penny spent at Oyster Point Marina is discretionary. There is no obligation for the Harbor District to do anything out at Oyster Point other than the obligations created so that Ms. Corrali would get a few endorsements from South City officials for her run for supervisor. Well, she got the endorsements, but you also got the obligations. And so now you're talking about cutting back services at Oyster Point, when theoretically, Oyster Point should not be costing this district a dime. District is an enterprise district. Those are enterprise operations at Oyster Point. Yet Oyster Point is for funding your day-to-day operations out there, and they're funding infrastructure out there. And so that is the reason why the Harbor District is in the situation it is in. The board has refused to deal with any of this. As you can see, these decisions have been made by the manager, Jim Pruitt. He's made a lot of decisions like this over the last year, simply because the board refuses to recognize the dire situation it has put this district in. He has cut back the hours arbitrarily and then asked permission afterwards. He's cut back on commitments to Oyster Point. They've rearranged and put things that were not on the master plan back on the master plan for repairs out at Pillar Point. This is how the district is being run these days. Mr. Pruitt does and then asks for permission because the board refuses to act responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion. Sabrina Brennan, I think I saw your hand raised. Great. If you could turn on the timer, 2 minutes, please.
The commission is not prioritizing safety at Pillar Point Harbor. This is clear to everyone, especially people that live on the coast side. Projects that have less significance and less public benefit are being prioritized over public safety. And what we're talking about here is saving lives, protecting the welfare of children and families who visit Pillar Point Harbor. I find this really disturbing, and I'm extremely disappointed in the direction that things have taken since I served on the Harbor Commission. Terminate the agreement with the city of South San Francisco. That will allow for the funding needed to provide the safety that the public deserves at Pillar Point Harbor. This is a failure by the board, a board that does not understand community needs. Both commissioners serving on this committee are corrupt and unethical. Thank you.
Any other public comments, Melanie, from the online participants? Okay, I'm going to close. Thank you. I'm going to close public comment for online participants then. Any other comments from the floor? Jake.
So as far as the district's concerned, we're all the same employees. We're all deputy harbor masters, one side or the other. So we feel a responsibility at Oyster Point to the community that's affected over there. It's easy to say, San Mateo County Harbor District needs to focus on the coast side, but we also have a responsibility to the Bay and have for years since the Joint Powers Agreement, the first Joint Powers Agreement. And other agencies rely on us as well, and we're part of a framework over there. And I think it's worth noting for anybody that's watching that there is a community of boaters over there. There's a community of fishermen. There's a community of people that use the park-like facility and settings. And with a reduction in hours, what we see, it's not just a reduction in hours, but an elimination of the guard service. It's going to be quite challenging with just kind of the way things transpire there. If we go to a 12-hour shift at Oyster Point in the summertime, there will be several hours of daylight still in the evenings and nobody to move these people on, which reduces manpower hours that are currently utilized to repair docks, do maintenance, keep the facilities up, will further be kind of pushed in cleaning up after a long night of people that are not asked to leave. So just there's a lot to unpack there, but I'll keep it at that for now.
Yeah, any other comments from the floor? Tom, do you have any comments or input? I have something, but I'll wait for you to be done since this is our last bullet point.
No comment.
So this is our last bullet point. I just want to say a couple of things. Thank you to our, oh, go ahead, Kate.
I just want to back take it up. The deputy harbor masters over at Oyster Point are absolutely no different from Pillar Point in their job function, their training level, and all of the above. So we're all the same community, and we don't like the fact that their work conditions are being changed at Oyster at Pillar Point. And by work conditions, I mean the hours that they have historically worked, their families are used to, and so on. And we just wanted to ask the question of the district, how much money is actually being saved by doing this?
You want to address, because I think there are other issues that are intertwined. So if you want to address that.
Currently, it's by going from 17 hours down to 12 hours, it's basic. We're saving 5 hours of salary. And then if you look at our goal is to have 2 deputy harbor masters assigned at all times, then you're looking at 10 hours a day that we're saving. So it comes out to be more than a full-time equivalent, and we're saving those funds
again, at Oyster Point.
Yeah, Michael.
Michael Moore, OE3 Business Rep. I wanted to state it for the record that I want to make sure, are we in agreement with this reduction? So OE3 not being in agreement with this reduction, thus we have to engage in the meet and confer process under MMBA, Myers-Browne Act. So we're going to engage in this process that may go, it's not anything that can be implemented without this meet and confer process and meeting in good faith. We did have a good productive meeting yesterday, and we hope to continue on that same vein to get to a great conclusion between the district and the union. What was your point? There's going to be less needs for bodies at Oyster Point. Are people going to be let go, moved?
There is no.
Sorry.
There are currently no plans to let go any personnel. Again, we're trying to maintain them and increase our personnel. And no plans on transferring right now. So currently, that's the answer to that question.
Jump up again, Jacob. We did have a productive meeting with Mr. Pruitt yesterday. And the union does want to work with the district to do what we can. And I think it's important for the public to know that OE3 and all of the patrol and persons represented by OE3 have always wanted to have a working relationship, a good working, positive relationship with the district and support its goals and objectives. And I think there can be maybe some more common ground found with as it pertains to Oyster Point. So looking forward to future talks.
There are no more comments. I'm going to make my last comment before we adjourn. I do want to thank everyone for being here and talking about these issues and to the staff for trying to prepare everything so that we can have this public discussion. So thank you. And thank you for all the hard work that you do. I know that our residents and the public appreciate all of the work that our staff does, and certainly our face to the harbors and Oyster Point Marina, our faces, right? But I do want to say that thank you, Kate, for bringing up the pandemic issue, which is such an odd situation that we're all climbing out of. As we move forward into the kind of somewhat normal, new normal, I want to thank everyone for their patience in terms of working together. In 2020, when the Harbor District had its meetings, they were probably, it was the end of some more chaotic meetings. And so this is, in my opinion, the first time that we're able to actually have fruitful and meaningful discussions with our employees and especially our bargaining units. So I just want us to soldier on and just know that the public in general is behind you. And I know that I speak on behalf of the board, that we appreciate that we're talking and working together. So thank you very much. And so with that, Tom, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Oh, sorry. There is, well, I've already closed public comment for this bullet, but I will open it up for this one comment and then this is it. So Melanie, if you can start the timer for John S. Thank you. John S. is muted, I think. Might not.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I'm having a hard time cutting through the stated logic on all of this funding in regards to the actual facts that have been given. It sounds to me like the district is saving at least $200,000 a year in position vacancies, and at the same time spending $250,000 on harbor workers. So to me, that states a clear change in priority from public safety to bathroom cleaning. And it just rubs me the wrong way. This is not the way to go about changing things. You guys are now making decisions in contrast to your own policy. If you look in your own policy, you will see a clearly stated obligation to provide these services, rescue services for the public. And I don't know, there's a lot of confusion in the public's eye to what's going on. You guys seem to be faltering from your mission statement, and you're making bad choices for the community. So thanks for spending all of our tax money that is earmarked for search and rescue on bathroom cleaning. And I'd just like to say that the bathrooms are the cleanest I've ever seen them here. I can only imagine how good they're going to look with 3 more harbor workers for another $250,000.
Thank you. So I'm closing public comment, and I don't think we have, do you have any last comments? Okay, so we're, Tom, we're done with our regular agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would second that.
Well, you can make the motion, I'll second.
Motion to adjourn.
Second that. Melanie, just a quick roll call.
Commissioner Chang Crowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush.
Aye.
This meeting's adjourned at, what time is it? 11:20. Thank you.